Hello, how are we today? How are we doing? Kelsie Michaud, health and life coach, and today we're talking about how to portion control when eating intuitively. Okay, so I hear this a lot. I hear a lot about portion control because, for one, just in general, I hear people talking about struggling with portion control. And then when it comes to eating intuitively, people wonder or they ask me, how does that actually work when you eat intuitively? With your portion control, like, are you able to just eat a portion because you're allowed anything you want really when you eat intuitively? Okay, so I wanted to break it down for you today and help you with any struggles that you may have with portion control. So, like I said, I hear from a lot of people, but I hear from a lot of people who would like to transition to intuitive eating, but they're just worried about how much that they're actually going to eat when there's no diet rules and there's no restrictions. So the thing is, like, there's nothing telling you that these foods, like telling you that there's no restriction over any particular food. So that's where the struggle comes in, okay? As well as the portion size. So I want to talk to you about intuitive eating and the actual portion control and how the two can actually go together in a non-diet way, and this can actually work. Okay, so let's talk portion control versus eating intuitively, because I really don't love the phrase portion control because I feel it has somewhat of a negative connotation to it. And whenever I work with clients and they tell me, I need to work on portion control, there's usually this feeling of like shame that comes with it. Would you agree? When you think about that, when you think about yourself and struggling with portion control. So what is usually happening here, or what the person usually means, is that they need to work on recognizing and actually honoring their hunger and fullness cues, okay? And that means that they also need to be respecting their body by eating consistent meals that are made up of foods that both nourish and satisfy them. So I have a few tips for you. But first, what is intuitive eating exactly? Well, intuitive eating is a non-diet approach to your health that actually involves ditching the diet, okay, ditching diets and all those external factors that come from dieting, such as tracking calories, tracking macros, tracking your weight, weighing things, measuring things, all that sort of stuff. And it guides you to your eating choices, okay? And instead it relies on your own internal wisdom, which is what we were all born with. We were all born intuitive eaters, okay? So if you come on, please say hello, let me know you're here. And if you happen to catch the replay, say hello so I know you were here as well. So this is an evidence-based approach, okay? Intuitive eating is an actual evidence-based approach that was actually created by two registered dietitians back in 1995. And it consists of 10 principles, and these are not food rules, okay? I repeat, not food rules. They are actually necessary, okay? They're necessary steps that have to go in order. Although rejecting the diet mentality, which is number one, has to come first, and then nutrition actually comes last, and there's a reason for that. But they can help guide you as you learn to apply this new way of thinking to your own life. So leaving diet culture behind you and beginning to eat intuitively can be a long journey. But if you're really tired of just fighting with your body or going on and off every different fad diet out there and constantly looking for that validation from the scale, you might be ready to transition to this way of eating. Okay, so the 10 principles of intuitive eating, if you have not heard of them, they're actually to reject the diet mentality, which is number one. Then honor your hunger and fullness. Then you want to make peace with food. And then you're going to challenge the food police. You're going to respect that fullness, all right? And discover the satisfaction factor, because satisfaction plays a key role here as well. And you want to honor your feelings without using food. That's where we get into our emotions. Sometimes we're emotional eaters, and it dives into that as well. And you want to, of course, respect your body. All right, that's part of it. And exercise, and not just exercise, but enjoying just movement of your body. And then finally, honoring your health with gentle nutrition. Okay, so it's not all about just shoving whatever you feel like in your face all the time. Definitely not. You want to eat some nice healthy foods as well. But you know what? You're going to want those healthy foods. You're not going to just crave all of your trigger foods all of the time. Eventually that stops, it goes away. And you may eat those once in a while, but that's how it gets to be when you're eating intuitively. Okay? So back to my tips that I have for you for eating appropriate portion sizes for you while you are actually eating intuitively without those diet rules, without restrictions, without any judgment. You want to eat consistently, okay? So don't skip your meals. So, like I never realized how normal it was for people to actually skip meals until I became a health coach and started talking with people about their eating habits. So, I do completely understand that, some meals are hard to make. Sometimes it's hard to make it happen, if you didn't plan ahead, okay? So let's be real, not everyone has time to actually cook or cook, breakfast first thing in the morning. Sometimes you're busy, you're getting ready for work, you have other things going on, you got the kids to get ready. So what you can do is plan ahead, all right? You want to prep something on the weekend possibly that can be like a nice grab and go breakfast. You want to make sure you're starting your day off on the right foot, okay? A nice high protein packed breakfast is going to hold you over a lot longer than something that's not including protein or a nice healthy fat. So you could make up some muffin cups, put them in a muffin pan, bake them the night before, wrap them up, throw them in the fridge, and there you go. Take it out. Just all you got to do is microwave it in the morning, whether you're microwaving it at home or at work. You can grab it and go. You can make some overnight oats. You could boil up some eggs, and you should have some nice hard-boiled eggs to just grab from. Great source of protein and healthy fat right there. So you could make up a batch of like some healthy pumpkin muffins, something like that, especially with fall coming around now too. Hi Hester, how are you? Thanks for coming on. There's so many like different like oatmeal bakes you could do too. You make a nice pan of it, then you have it there ready to go for a couple days throughout the week. All this stuff is just easy to grab. Greek yogurt with some nice fruit and nuts, even a banana with some almond butter. So super simple and just easy to go, quick and easy. So these are the possibilities, and the possibilities are endless really. And it doesn't have to be fancy, okay? Because it doesn't have to be complicated either. So sometimes we're just not sure of, what to think of to make. Well, these are some options for you right here. And if you ever have any questions, please let me know, okay? So after breakfast, of course, there's lunch. And I understand that work gets busy. I know sometimes I'm sitting at the computer some days and I'm just working away and I just want to keep going to get everything done. And the time just keeps going by. But guess what? Your brain and your body, they need to fuel, okay? They need fuel to help you get through all that important work and to get it all done and to get it all done efficiently and effectively. So eating at your desk while you work, it may not be ideal, but it's reality for a lot of us, and it's better than completely skipping lunch altogether, okay? Because you need to fuel your body. So a lot of times I will hear that people have gotten home from work, they didn't have a chance, they were busy, they didn't have a chance to really eat a full meal during the day, so then they come home and then they're starving, right? And then you go to the cupboard, you go to the fridge, and you eat what's ever quickest and easiest because now your body's getting a little aggravated and it's out of balance and it wants to be comforted right away. So we grab whatever is the easiest and quickest thing, and sometimes it's not the healthiest, and sometimes our portion at that point is a little more than what we would have eaten if we ate consistently throughout the day. Okay, does that make sense? Let me know if that's making sense for you, or if you have any questions as I go along. So, you're much more likely to take advantage on the treats in the break room too, or just mindlessly kind of munch on something in your pantry when you get home. So these are the things that you want to think about when it comes to making sure you're not skipping your lunch. I know we get busy, so like I said, even if you have to eat at your desk, that's okay. At least you're eating and you're fueling your body so that you're not, or at least less likely to overindulge later on when you get home from work, okay? And don't get me wrong, you can certainly grab a treat when it sounds good and it's truly what you want, but doing this every day or just multiple times throughout the day may not support your health goals, and it might make you feel may not make you feel as good as eating a balanced meal, okay? So this actually brings me to my next point, is you want to make sure that you're eating balanced meals. So not only do you want to make sure that you're not skipping your meals, but you want them to be nice and balanced too, and satisfying, all right? You want to really enjoy that balanced meal, and I'll tell you why. Because by eating these satisfying meals that are balanced, well, first of all, you want to try to include, make sure they have like fiber-rich carbohydrates, fruits and veggies, or whole grains, are all your fiber-rich carbs, and protein and healthy fats. Okay, there's a nice balanced meal or snack for you. And each food group actually has the nutrients that your body needs, okay? So when you're giving your body what it needs throughout the day, it's not going to be searching for it later on, all right? So you're also going to be more satisfied too, because if you include all of these components, the carbs, the fats, and the protein, well, protein and fat will help you feel full longer, which, you know, is our goal, right? So, and it's the same with the high fiber carbs as well. It's going to sustain us much longer as well. And I realize that not every meal is going to be perfectly balanced, because, you know, it's life, you know, we're only human. We can only do as much as we possibly can for ourselves, and, you know, that's okay. But again, you know, this isn't another food rule, but rather just a guide to kind of help you get that variety of nutrients and feel satisfied after your meals, rather than hungry immediately right after. Okay, and then there's severely restricting your intake. Definitely not the answer, because I promise you, it is impossible to eat a variety of foods and enjoy them. Okay, so you want to make like some may be good for the body. You know, some things are good for your body, and then others are just so good for our soul. Really, we need to nourish our soul as well, and it's so true. So it's possible to live your life and not count every single calorie. That is reality. It can happen. You don't have to be someone who lives by counting every little piece of food that goes in your mouth, all right? And severely restricting, if you are always restricting, okay, that's not something you want to do, because it's just going to slow your metabolism down. And especially if you have goals, if you have weight loss goals, health goals, you know, and the more than anything, it's going to make you hungry too. Not just hungry, probably hangry when you're restricting. I know when I restricted, I didn't feel good about it, you know, and I mentally I didn't feel good. And yeah, I was always kind of on edge, or aggravated, or just not happy, not living very happy. And no one wants to be around that person. You know, that when you get to that hangry point, you probably don't even want to be around yourself at that point. So if for some reason you just can't make actual meals happen consistently, just keep healthy snacks on hand, you know, because this could be something as simple as like some mixed nuts, okay? Maybe some unsweetened dried fruit, some more nice Greek yogurt, good source of protein there, with some nice berries in there, fresh fruit, some string cheese, super simple. Grab it out of the fridge. Some whole grain crackers and hummus and baby carrots, fruit and nut butters. Again, possibilities are endless. So you want to fuel your body, okay? It's very important here. Okay, next you want to make sure that you are giving yourself permission to eat the food you love. Okay, that's going to help you with your portion control, believe it or not. Because you might say, do you mean I can have my cake and like macaroni and cheese and all of this good stuff that I really crave, all this nice comforting food? Well, you're allowed to have foods that you love on a regular basis, not just on special occasions or on the weekends. The strategy, because that strategy, if you're just having it like for a special occasion, or the weekend comes and you're like, oh, I can finally eat something that I really enjoy, that strategy usually backfires on us anyway. Because when you restrict a certain food, you know, especially for a very long time, when you're restricting it, it's almost inevitable that you're going to lose control at some point. You're just going to go out of control the very next time that you're around it. And I see this a lot with my clients. This has happened to myself in the past quite a bit. And people like eat clean, so to speak, you know, Monday through Friday, okay? But by the time the weekend comes, it's a free-for-all, because you've been restricting all week, right? Then you go a little crazy because you're dying to have all the stuff that you told yourself you couldn't have all week long, all right? And this massive swing from one extreme to the next, it's not doing you any favors, okay? when we're not restricting, then you're eating foods that you actually find satisfying to you. You don't feel the need to cheat, and you have because at that point you have nothing to cheat on, and it only gives you, say, like if you're only giving yourself 1 to 2 cheat meals a week as a diet rule, okay? If you want to break free from the rules in that diet mentality, you need to quit labeling foods as good or bad, okay? Or as a cheat, even calling it a cheat. Food is food. No judgment or shame should be involved when you're eating, okay? So some people will wonder, okay, so will I only eat pizza for the rest of my life if I'm allowed to have whatever I want, if that happens to be something that you really enjoy? I know I love pizza, but when you first give yourself permission to eat all the foods at any time, it can feel a little scary, yeah, for sure. And you might feel like you're only going to want to eat that pizza or ice cream or cupcakes or whatever it is you want for the rest of your life. But trust me, you won't. If at first you binge on these foods, it's not going to last forever. This is like, if you continue to work hard to make peace with food in your body, this is not going to last forever, because you may start off like, oh my gosh, I can really have this food all the time. Okay, so you eat it, and then you eat some more, and you're loving it, like, oh my gosh, I get to eat this food all the time, it's awesome. You're gonna get to the point where I think I'm getting kind of sick of this food. I've been eating it for days on end, all week long, and I'm kind of like, I've had enough now. It might even take you a few weeks, but that's okay. That's part of the process. It's part of the learning process. And then you get to a point where you're like, yeah, I think I've had enough of this food. I think I want something else. And now I think I'm actually craving something a little more nourishing. I can tell my body is not loving this so much as I thought I would. And now I'm really craving something a little more nourishing for my body. And then now all of a sudden I want these nourishing foods more often. Wow, this is awesome. And that's exactly what happened to me, and it can happen for you too. And every now and again you're like, you know what, I think I do want that a little more indulgent food right now. Okay, so have it. And then you only have just a little bit of it, because you realize I didn't need all that much, because it didn't make me feel good. But I can have it in a way that does make me feel good when I have the correct portion amount. Okay, and then I move on, to my apple or my carrots or my chicken or whatever else I'm going to eat. Okay, so that is how you get to a point where you're in control with everything that you eat. You take the power back. The food doesn't have the power any longer. You have the power. Okay, so the process of ditching diets and just embracing intuitive eating, and of course body kindness. You need to be kind to yourself. That's your own personal journey, and it doesn't have to happen overnight. And every time you eat, it's an opportunity to learn more about your hunger and your fullness cues. Okay, learn about your likes and your dislikes, how certain foods make you feel, all those kinds of things tied into one another. Instead of feeling guilty or judging yourself for something that you ate, try to sit back, reflect and ask yourself, what would you have done differently? Or what would you have done the same next time, and why? Okay? So because when you have unconditional permission to eat and enjoy the foods all the time, anytime, you're less likely to binge on those items that were forbidden or considered off limits, okay? You may be surprised to find out that you're going to get to a point where some days you can easily just pass on dessert, all right? You'll get to a point where some days you actually forget about the ice cream that was in the freezer. Your body's your cravings will shift and change, as I mentioned. It's all a part of the process. So when you slow down and tune in while you're eating, that's going to help you to be more mindful, because this is one of the biggest problems, when it comes to today's world, and the way that we eat. There's so many distractions, right? We have technology for one, all the technology within our house is a distraction, and we live in a busy world, and we're constantly rushing from one thing to the next, okay? So do you ever eat meals or snacks, while you're just scrolling through your phone, or you're sending an email, or you're watching a show, something like that. Or maybe you just, sometimes you're not even aware of what you're eating because you're doing these sorts of things. And my dog always seems to want to come in when I'm doing my live. Okay. And the thing is, with all of this busyness, we all do it. It's just life, okay? It's the world that we're living in. But did you know that it's really super easy to overeat when you're multitasking? And then all of a sudden, all your food is gone, and before you know it, you have this stomach ache because you ate to a point where you're just uncomfortably full, and you're like, oh, why did I do that? So you really want to pay attention to how much food it takes to actually fill you up. And that's where you're honing in on your fullness cues, okay? And respecting your fullness, all right? So, if you've been maybe dieting for a long time, and I feel like I have a fuzzy, probably a cat hair. If you've been dieting for a long time, and you might find it hard to actually recognize that feeling of hunger and fullness, but like I said, you got to be patient with yourself and continue to tune in. And with time and consistently fueling your body the way you need to throughout the day, this will come. Eventually, it will just come naturally. Just like with anything, when you're first learning something, it's a little difficult at first, but then all of a sudden you start to get it, and you start to get it even more and more, to the point where you're like, yeah, I got this. I'm doing this. You should be asking yourself, how do you feel after you eat? You could even keep yourself a little journal. Take some notes, if this would help you during the process. And keep in mind that your hunger levels are going to vary from day to day, depending on how much sleep you had the night before, what you were doing the day before, things like that, or how well you slept. They may even vary from week to week, and that's okay. But our needs change for a variety of reasons. So don't panic if you feel like you're much hungrier one day compared to another day, okay? There's all reasons for that. So again, as long as you're honoring your hunger and respecting your fullness, you're going to be okay, because those are two of the intuitive eating principles right there. So again, I know you're busy people and you don't have time to eat every meal slowly while you're taking notes and enjoying the smells and the taste and all of that. But while you're practicing, maybe choose like one meal a day to really try to be present and pay attention to what you're doing, and really notice what's going on during that meal, rather than scrolling through your phone or sitting down in front of the TV, something like that. Be really present with yourself in the meal and the food that you're eating, and it will get easier to start recognizing and honoring your body's needs and your body's wants, okay? Because patience is key here. And you got to remember to give yourself grace, okay? Last and definitely not least, give yourself some grace. It's inevitable that you're going to overeat sometimes. It happens, all right? Or even that you'll eat foods that make you feel kind of blah, all right? And intuitive eating doesn't mean like these things just go away because you become like a perfect eater. Nobody's perfect. You're still human, and hopefully you'll be able to overeat less often, okay? Because no one likes that feeling. You don't like that feeling when you've overeaten and then you don't feel so good. You kind of feel tired and sluggish, sometimes a little sick. And especially when you have health and wellness goals that you're trying to reach, and you want to honor your body more and be able to just move on. If you have overeaten, just move on, okay? And then you want to just be able to, like, rather than dwelling on it, and don't feel guilty, just stop dwelling in the guilt and the shame, because it's unnecessary. We don't need to judge ourselves, and just restart. Restarting just gets us right back in action, gets us right back to where we need to be, okay? So I want you to remember, you deserve to eat, okay? You have to eat. The body needs fuel, all right? So, and dieting is no fun, and you are made to do so much more. Hi, Nan, how are you? And you can't live a full life on an empty stomach, right? You need to eat. So like, think about it. If you're going about your day and you're skipping meals, or you're restricting, or you're not giving your body what you feel like it needs, and you are feeling really hungry, and now you're getting a little tired and sluggish, and after that you're getting aggravated. All right, that's not a way to live. Okay, and it's not healthy either. And your body's trying to tell you. Your body sends you those hunger signals because it's a survival mechanism. That survival mechanism is kicking in. It's telling you, okay, please feed me, refuel me right now, please. And a lot of times we ignore it or we override it because you're like, no, I can't have anything right now because then I'll go over my points or my calories or whatever it is you're counting. And guess what? You're depriving your body, you're depriving your brain, and they go hand in hand. They're talking to one another. And when you're doing that, you're slowing down your metabolism. And you're wondering why you can't lose weight when you're eating in such a low restriction. You're like, oh, I'm barely eating. How come I'm not losing weight? Well, your body's not going to let you. It's going to fight against you, and you're not going to win. Your body's always going to win. So it's important to give your body what it needs when it wants it, okay? And within honoring that hunger and respecting that fullness, you're golden. You're good to go, all right? You're still meeting your health and your wellness and your weight goals. And there's no more restriction, there's no more binging, there's no more shame or guilt or judgment. It all just goes away. So if you have any questions at all about the content I covered as far as portion control or about intuitive eating, if you're curious about it and want to learn more about how you can become an intuitive eater and ditch all those diet rules and restrictions, reach out. I'm happy to help you, and I'm happy to answer any questions you may have. So if there's no questions right now, I'm going to hop off, but I hope you all have a very, very beautiful day, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye, guys.